So I hope that you all feel that sense of, peace and light, and that just for a moment when you leave here today that you feel, a sense of joy. Because I think we all need we all need to feel joy now during this time of the season, during this time. So anyway, okay, now I'll start. You're all reading into that.
Several days later.
A new report claims First Lady Jill Biden is seeking revenge for Democrats' poor treatment of President Biden. From the coup to take Biden out of the presidential race to the backlash over son Hunter's pardon. The First Lady is reportedly urging President Biden to, quote, settle the score with several one-time allies. Quote, Jill views Democrats on Capitol Hill, the wider party, the Obamas, staff inside and outside the White House, the media, and all of Washington, D.C. with such misguided resentment that I can't imagine she isn't encouraging Joe to burn the whole thing down despite his better judgment. Yowza. Michelle?
It makes you wonder if Jill planted some butter or grease on those steps that Nancy Pelosi recently slipped on. Like if she got there first and sort of oiled the steps so that Nancy might fall and break her hip. Did anyone else think of that about Nancy Pelosi falling and breaking her hip?
We kid.
We kid. But listen, they're so concerned about his legacy right now, but they continue to diminish it.
Boy. We got to talk about trouble in Wonderland, Washington, D.C., at the White House, because allegedly Jill Biden is ready to go scorch earth in her revenge against the Democrat Party for treating Joe Biden, her husband, so badly as he's on his way out of office as a disgrace. Okay, the Biden administration, one of the worst administrations in American history, certainly the worst administration of the 21st century. And Jill Biden doesn't like the way that Democrats are throwing away Joe Biden like a used condom after he, quote unquote, saved democracy from Trump, right? So, yeah, what have Democrats done to thank Joe Biden? Well, again, they have basically blamed the guy for Kamala Harris losing, right? They say, no, it's not Kamala's fault that she was incompetent. She could not clearly articulate how she was different than Joe Biden, what she would do differently than Joe Biden, what she disagreed with Joe Biden on, or the fact that she raised a ton of money and ended up $20 million in debt despite raising over $1.5 billion. No, it's not any of that. It's the fact that Joe Biden did drop out earlier. Okay, Joe Biden should have dropped out earlier, and also he should not have endorsed Kamala Harris in the first place, because Joe Biden endorsed Kamala Harris as a backstab towards Pelosi and Obama for forcing him out of the race. And I know that Joe Biden is extremely salty about the end result, because they told Joe Biden that, hey, you have to drop out to save democracy. Okay, you have to allow us to overthrow democracy within our own party to save democracy from Trump, okay, because you can't beat Trump. Kamala has a better chance of beating Trump. And then Kamala goes on to get landslided by Trump. Yeah, I bet Biden's salty, okay? In his delusional, empty head, he probably believes that he is the only person that could have beat Trump, right? He probably actually believes that, okay? So he has a whole lot of reasons to be upset, and he's showing that he's upset because Joe Biden doesn't give a F, right? He's essentially checked out. He's nowhere to be found when it comes to anything, right? He's not talking to the media. He's not doing anything. Now, before the election, he was talking a lot, right? He was talking a lot when Democrats didn't want him to talk at all. Okay, now after the election, he has absolutely nothing to say whatsoever, nothing to say, okay, while at the same time doing things that are pissing Democrats off, like, for example, pardoning his son, which reveals the hypocrisy of the Democrat Party, how they are not the party of law and order, how they believe that they are, in fact, above the law, okay, just hypocrites, okay, and also opens up the door for Trump to pardon the peaceful protesters of January 6th. Something that the liberal media and the Democrats don't like, right? They don't like at all. This is why they've been raging against Joe Biden, okay? So, again, Joe Biden is doing things in order to get revenge against Democrats, and his latest proposal here, I think, really says everything you need to know about how salty Joe and Jill Biden are with the establishment Democrats, with the elites within the party, because apparently Joe Biden is looking to back banning stock trades for Congress, okay, which is Nancy Pelosi's worst nightmare, considering how allegedly she is one of the biggest insider traders in Congress. And again, this is why former DNC insider Lindy Li came out and said that, I think that this is to get revenge against Nancy Pelosi, right? This is not a coincidence, considering how there are reports of Joe Biden encouraging Joe to get revenge.
I want to move on to this one and get everybody to weigh in about 15 seconds each. This is from the Daily Mail. This is a piece from Emily Goodwin. Very interesting. The headline reads in part, how vengeful Jill Biden is urging depressed Joe to burn the whole thing down in their final days. It reads in part, Jill views Democrats on Capitol Hill, the wider party, the Obama staff inside and outside the White House, the media, and all of Washington, D.C. with such misguided resentment that I can't imagine she isn't encouraging Joe to burn the whole thing down despite his better judgment. That, according to an insider. Lindy, to you first. 15 seconds each, roughly. Your thoughts on what Emily Goodwin had to say.
She's totally right. And we can see that happen when Joe forcefully came out inside of insider trading. It took him 50 years to get to that point. But you know why he did that? Because he still has a bone to pick with Nancy Pelosi. He's still very angry that he got summarily pushed aside. And he's finally saying that no one in Congress should be able to trade on the inside information. And you know who's notorious for that? Nancy Pelosi.
Absolutely. The Pelosi tracker online.
Yeah, so I got to tell you guys, Lindy Li has been a gift. Since the election, she probably has been the best gift, exposing the Democrats, exposing the DNC, exposing Kamala Harris, exposing Joe Biden. And you know the things that she's saying is true. She's saying everything out loud that the right already knew, right? The so-called conspiracies about the coup against Joe Biden. Yeah, she confirmed that. She confirms that, Nancy Pelosi allegedly is insider trading, which, again, is something that everybody already knew. But, again, when you hear a Democrat say it, when you hear a Democrat, an establishment Democrat, by the way, right? When you hear an establishment Democrat come out and to tell the truth about the establishment, it's like vindication, man. It really is. We already knew that this was happening, but we were called conspiracy theorists, okay? So that being said, I absolutely love this proposal from Joe Biden. I got to tell you guys, I don't think I've ever said this before about Joe Biden, but hey, if this dude wants to ban stock trading as revenge against Nancy Pelosi, I'm all for it, because this is one of these topics that really pisses off the congressman for obvious reasons.
Vote for a ban on Congress members trading stocks?
Yeah, I mean, this is like number 1,000 on my priority list of things to care about. This is one of those stupid things that I've been dragged through the mud on. You know how much fucking money I've ever had in the stock market? About $20,000. And yet I've been dragged through the mud on this as if like there's some insider trading. I just sent a letter to Fox News, demand, a threatening letter from my lawyers, threatening them with defamation because Jesse Waters had basically insinuated that I was insider trading. Of course, it's not true. You'd be more surprised how much little information we have. This is one of those bills that, like, of course, yeah, people support it. Yeah, sure, okay. Who cares? Because I don't have I barely have anything in the market anyway. Are there a couple cases wherein Nancy Pelosi has some very suspicious timing of her trades? Yeah, that has happened. But nobody else can point any other examples out. So sure, yeah, why not? Don't let us trade stocks. How about we'll just keep whipping ourselves. How about we don't make any money either? How about just cut our paychecks? We haven't gotten a pay raise since 2008, even a COLA increase. So yeah, this is a great idea. Let's make Congress a place where only the millionaires can actually afford to do the job. This is a wonderful idea. Let's just keep doing that, and then some it's always some member, right, who senses the populist energy and then mirrors it, believing that this is what's going to help me connect with the people. Because what do the people want? Well, they want an easy button. All my problems will be solved if there's no stock trading. All my problems will be solved if there's term limits. Yeah, but if you think about any of these things for 5 whole minutes, you might quickly come to a different conclusion. Now, what I vote for? Yeah, sure. Who cares? Who cares? Like it doesn't matter to me because I don't have any fucking money to put in the stock market.
Yeah, so you can see the idea of banning stock trades, individual stock trades, really pisses people off, right? It pisses off the politicians for obvious reasons, okay? So that being said, let's actually learn more about what Joe Biden is trying to do to kneecap Pelosi.
Nobody in the Congress should be able to make money in the stock market while they're in the Congress.
In the waning hours of his administration, President Joe Biden took a stance on an issue that has split members of Congress. Banning members from trading stock has bipartisan support, but for some reason, it hasn't gotten a vote. It is illegal for members of Congress to trade using knowledge from their jobs. That's the Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act, or STOCK Act, which passed back in 2012. The law also forces more transparency in their personal finances, like disclosing trades in a timely manner that they, their spouse, or a dependent child make. But according to analysis of trading by members of Congress, members and their staffers routinely violate this law.
We continue to see story after story hit the headlines of members of Congress who bought or sold stock relative or related to the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. Before that, it was the invasion of Ukraine. Before that, it was COVID.
So the STOCK Act isn't stopping that.
Yeah, so again, the question really is, okay, we have laws in place. Why is it that the politicians aren't being punished when they don't follow the law, right? When they break the law, we know they broke the law. Why are they not being punished and charged? See, that's the problem. That's the issue. It doesn't matter what type of laws you put in place if there's no mechanism for punishment. If the politicians can just break the law and nothing happens. But, you know, what you have here are a bunch of these individuals who, again, they don't want to go after each other. They don't want to hold each other accountable because a vast majority of them they're in on it, right? They're all in on it. So they put this law on the books for transparency's sake. They break the law and then they don't punish each other for it. So what happens? They just continue to do this. Now, I want to be clear. I personally believe that the politicians should be able to make money off of the market as a whole. But I don't believe they should be able to trade individual stocks. I believe that they should be able to buy broad-based index funds and mutual funds that follow the market, okay? Like, for example, a total stock market fund or a total bond fund or a S&P 500 fund or maybe even like some broad-based growth fund or something like that, right? Or some sector, right? A sector ETF or something like that. I believe they should be able to do that because I think that it's important that the politicians actually benefit from the success of the country, right? So if the country's doing well, yes, I think that the politicians should be rewarded when the country does well, but I do not think they should be able to get rich off of trading individual stocks in which these people in Congress, they have the ability to pick and choose the winners and losers, right? So they already know who they're going to give grants to, who's going to get, you know, this benefit or that benefit. They already know these things, okay? Because the lobbyists are the people writing the legislation. And they know how the companies are going to benefit, so they know which companies to buy ahead of time, right? Before the legislation is announced or before the news is announced, and it happens too much. And it's in your face. It's blatant. That's the problem. It's blatant and it's in your face. But nothing is done about it.
And now bipartisan calls are growing louder for Congress to ban stock trading altogether.
The truth is, Congress should not be here to make a buck. Congress should be here to serve the American people. There is no reason why members of Congress ought to be profiting off of the information that only they get.
Yeah, and this is also a reason why I don't agree with a bunch of people on the right just kind of reflexively saying, oh, F Cenk Uygur and F Anna Kasparian, they're just trying to grift off of Trump and MAGA because Kamala lost and they spent all these years hating Trump and this, that, and the other. And it's like, okay, listen, here's the thing. I understand that people are upset with them for their past comments, okay, about the movement. But see, people got to learn how to think strategically. I'm about getting shit done, right? I'm not about going back and forth with people that I disagree with or, you know, people that I don't like or whatever. It's like, okay, what do we all agree on? It just so happens that those leftists agree with MAGA on certain things, like, for example, term limits. They also agree with MAGA when it comes to banning stock trades. This is a bipartisan thing. And if MAGA and the left could work together on the things that we actually agree on, like, again, banning stock trades, term limits, things like that, we could actually get some things done, right? This is why I don't just reflexively dismiss Cenk and others who are basically MAGA curious, right? I don't dismiss it. I don't get mad about it because it's not about being friends with them or allowing them into the movement. It's about, okay, well, what do we agree on? And let's figure out how we can work together to get something accomplished on the things that we agree on. And I think term limits and banning stock trades is one of those things that both sides of the aisle agree on. And if they actually came together instead of fighting about dumb stuff, right, then we'd actually get it done, to be honest with you. It's a good chance that it would get done.
The easiest, most straightforward way to achieve this is to ban members of Congress from trading stocks. And I am so proud that we continue to have an ever-growing coalition. The bill that I lead with Congressman Chip Roy has more than 55 co-sponsors, Democrats, Republicans, across the board, geography-wise, across the board, political ideology-wise, because this common sense solution of banning members of Congress from trading stocks just makes sense.
Some congressional members.
Yeah, so the question is, why has there not been a floor vote, right? The Speaker of the House needs to be held accountable for bringing the legislation to the floor for a vote, right? So that we can see who supports this and who doesn't. And it has to be a clean bill, right? A clean bill, not a bill tossed in with a bunch of other bills, right? No, a clean bill. That's what has to happen.
Are so successful trading stock that regular folk have started tracking their trades. You can even invest in funds that mimic their buys and sells. Nance, which tracks Democrats' trading habits, is up over 32% this year, outpacing the S&P 500. Meanwhile, Cruise, which tracks Republicans, is up just 17%.
Wow.
While some lawmakers and now the lame duck president are on board with a congressional stock trading ban, a de facto leader in the Democratic Party has often come out against it.
Should members of Congress and their spouses be banned from trading individual stocks while serving in Congress?
No, I don't know to the second one.
Why?
Yeah. Because this is a free market and people, we're a free market economy. They should be able to participate in that.
The trading acumen.
Yeah. So Nancy Pelosi at this point has a better trading history than the top hedge fund managers in the country, right? I mean, Nancy Pelosi, she's generating alpha that the top investment advisors are jealous of, right? And I don't think it's a coincidence. I really don't. I really don't. In fact, I'm probably going to find one of these funds and just invest in it for kicks and gigs, right? Just because at the end of the day, I want to get in too. I want to get in on Nancy Pelosi's insider knowledge, right? I need to get some of them benefits. I need to get some of them returns, okay? But isn't it amazing, guys, how the Democrat Party, apparently their performance is much better than the Republicans, okay? So it's crazy how they're supposed to be the party of the working class. They're supposed to be against the rich, against big corporations, but yet they're in Congress getting rich off of big corporations, right? Ain't it funny how that works? This is why I tell you guys, projection is what Democrats are best at. Whatever they point their finger to the other person and say about them, that's what they're doing, okay? The party against the rich is getting rich off of the rich. Amazing.
Of Pelosi and her husband Paul often make headlines. Pelosi is one of the wealthiest members of Congress with a net worth of around $250 million. Biden took pride in where he stood on the list when he was a senator.
For 36 years, I was listed as the poorest man in the Senate. Not a joke. You know that listing they had? I mean, in Congress, not the Senate, House and Senate. I never thought I was poor. I had a salary that a senator made. But, you know, I don't know how you look your constituents in the eye and know because the job they gave you an inside track to make more money.
It's tough to gauge the impact of Biden's support of this legislation in his final weeks. But President-elect Donald Trump rang the same bell when announcing he would seek the nation's highest office once again.
We want a ban on members of Congress getting rich by trading stocks with insider information.
Yeah, so I hope that Trump actually follows through on this. And it takes putting pressure on the speaker to take up the legislation. right? There has to be a vote on it, okay? We need a vote on it. So I don't know if Joe Biden is doing this as revenge against Pelosi, but it would be hilarious if he was, right? If he was coming out at the last minute saying he wants to ban stock trades in Congress as a shot at Pelosi. I think that's hilarious. And quite honestly, I agree with Joe Biden on this, right? I think that definitely should happen. And, it's something I want to see during the next Trump administration. But, we will see. It's one of those things where it's gaining more and more momentum because it is a bipartisan thing. This is something I think a vast majority of the American people agree with. It just takes coalition building and people coming together to toss aside their disagreements and say, hey, this is what we agree on. Let's get it done. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.